Hey guys, how you doing? Today we're going to be reviewing No Time to Die. This is Daniel Craig's last performance as Bond, and yeah, it's the conclusion to this weirdly linked sort of story and narrative of this version of Bond, which is quite new for this sort of character because, I don't know, it focuses a lot more on the continuity between each films and takes plot points from each film, which I actually really do prefer because it just gives us a better connection to that character and the story as a whole. And I don't know, it just sort of builds that world for you a bit better as the audience. And I don't know, I really like this. This definitely takes a lot of stuff from Spectre and focuses a lot on Spectre, which was obviously the last Bond film. Now, before I get into my opinion on this last film of Daniel Craig's as Bond, I do like the Bond films. I went over all of them in lockdown, so yeah, that was quite fun to be able to do that. And a lot of them were for the first time because I just hadn't got around to seeing them before that. So yeah, obviously Casino Royale is amongst fans, I'm pretty sure amongst fans is considered the best of the best when it comes to Bond films. Quantum of Solace, everyone hates that one. I think it's all right. It's nothing special. It's definitely not the greatest film of all time, but it's not the worst. I personally love Skyfall. I think Skyfall was my favourite of the Bond films. It's very close between that and Casino Royale, but Skyfall is just great all around. A great villain, which is very different and unique for a Bond film because, as we know, the Bond villain trope is one of the most known things when it comes to Bond films, is that the villain is very generic, one based view of just, I'm going to destroy the world, and it's very cliche and it's very boring. So yeah, this Skyfall had a great villain, and Spectre was just sort of, I feel like, the forgotten film, and no one really remembers that, which is a shame because obviously a Bond film is a massive deal. And I don't know, I thought Spectre was quite good. It wasn't amazing. It's somewhere between Quantum of Solace and Casino Royale for me. It's just there. It's got good scenes. Definitely not the most horrible film in the world, but I really don't remember a lot other than the opening chase sequence and Sam Smith's amazing Bond song. So yeah, what is my opinion of No Time to Die? Because if you have seen it, but by the way, I will be going into a few spoilers, but if you have seen it, you know that the end is very divisive, and yeah, I guarantee it will cause a lot of controversy between the die-hard fans of Bond, because yeah, we'll go into it in a bit, but overall, I love this film. This film is great. Now, cinematography and everything like that is, you know, that's sort of what you expect from a Bond film, because they need to take this seriously, and the cinematography is fantastic. It's directed very well. Now, I was a bit shaky on it at first because this has got to be not one of the worst, because it's not exactly bad once you get to the action, but I think that the opening of every Bond film, if you didn't know, has some massive action sequence. Now, most famous ones are definitely from Skyfall, if you've known that, and Spectre, to be fair. Spectre's one is very good. So when you've got this film opening up with this little girl and her family, who we later find out is Bond's love interest, and it has to set up this villain for this film, who, by the way, sucks, and we'll get into that. This villain is bad, but they had to use all of that time and just make that whole opening scene that led to the action scene feel so sluggish, because you go in expecting that action scene to grab you and get you in, and then you're in and you just sink into the world of Bond, where it just has to give all this exposition and set up this villain, and it's a poor decision to have that done there, in my opinion. I get that they needed it with the way the story went, but I know that they could have sorted that out a bit differently. But yeah, the action scene was great, and one thing I will mention is lockdown and COVID definitely affected this film, because I feel like I've seen that whole first intro action scene literally 95% of it already just from trailers over the last 2 years. Because yes, it is 2 years now. That's just nuts saying that, but yeah, we've basically seen that whole scene. So it's like, yeah, obviously it's great on the big screen. And by the way, I do recommend not waiting until it comes out, digitally, and go and see this in the cinema. It definitely deserves it. The COVID has really put this film, especially delaying it, one of the first films to get delayed, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, go show it some love, and the love it deserves, because you could tell a lot of passion went into this film. And yeah, I think it deserves to be seen on the big screen. But yeah, I've seen most of that action scene, and a lot of criticism I've heard online is that there's not enough action in this film. And I disagree. I think there is enough action, and I think it's quite evenly spread, if I'm being honest. I didn't have a problem with the action whatsoever. But yeah, now let's get into a few negatives so we can finish on a positive. Let's go over the villain. The villain is just bad. His motivations are so one-dimensional and just cliched. Or he feels like he owns this girl because he saved her, but he went there to kill the family because they killed his. So why did he not kill her? They never explain what his motives were in that moment, why he spared her after she just shot him. They really poorly handled him and just gave him the bare minimum cliche used lines of a villain that a villain would have. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm the same as you, we're one and the same, when they're really nothing alike. Bond and this guy are nothing alike, other than the fact that they're both linked to this girl. And it's just, I don't know, I think it was really poorly done. It's shocking to me that at the end throughout the film, he makes this whole massive plan of sending all of his men to capture the girl that he saved and her daughter, Bond's daughter. And he finally gets them, and he just lets the little girl walk off. And it's like, why waste all this time trying to do this? It's just really poorly done, in my opinion, and it is face palmable at sometimes. Like, that is a term I'll use. It is literally that. It's that. If you told me what is an image of a Bond villain, the most cliche Bond villain, his face is there, because yeah, he's just really bad in my opinion. But yeah, he serves as a catalyst for Bond to get to where he does at the end, which we'll go into just in a little bit. I just quickly want to touch on Billie Eilish's Bond theme. Now, the last two films, obviously you had Skyfall and Spectre. Now, both of these had Adele's Skyfall, which was probably the best one out of all of them. If you ask a lot of Bond fans, Skyfall is amazing. What a song and theme for Bond, especially with Sam Smith writing on the wall as well. That is amazing. I think Billie Eilish's song is great. I know this really doesn't affect the film, but it's just one of them things like the Star Wars crawl that's just special to these films and quite unique. So yeah, I just wanted to say that Billie Eilish's theme is quite good. It's not as it works better in the title sequence, whereas I feel like previous songs like Skyfall is just a great song in general. I feel like it can be a bit depressing at times, and it's really about that build and the dramatisize of this is the last one and this is going to be serious and epic, and I think it really sets the tone for the film quite well. So yeah, now let's finally talk about Daniel Craig's Bond. I think he does his best performance as Bond here, because you can tell, especially if you saw the red carpet and his interviews and stuff, this means a lot to him, and it was very emotional for him to let this character go. And you can see how much he cared through the way he performed in this film. There were certain scenes where he got to come back to being 007, and I don't know, it just gave a really warm feeling. And that only happens when a lot of care has been put into this project, and that is something that you can't cheat. You can't cheat that when making a film. if your directors and writers and everyone behind the scenes cares, that will show through the characters and the performance and the story. And I think that was done expertly here. I think Daniel Craig is the best Bond, but obviously I'm biased because I've literally only seen his Bond. But I can't see it being topped, in my opinion. I just think he's great. I do need to check out the other Bond films, the previous ones, which I will do at some point. Probably it's not on my highest thing on my list to watch, but I'll get to it at some point. And yeah, when they reboot the Bond films, they better find the next Tom Cruise or something, because yeah, it's going to be hard to follow this up. So yeah, I think Daniel Craig does expertly. So that brings me to Daniel Craig's destiny at the end of the film and his fate. So this is where the controversy is going to come from with fans. Obviously, Bond never dies. That is just a fact. That is just written within the law. As much as Star Wars is, the Force can't just be, it can't just be cheated. You have to be one with the Force, and training is everything and stuff like that. That's why a lot of fans did not like the sequels. I did not like Episode 8 because that is the film where Luke found his struggle. That is the film where Anakin was making a lot of mistakes in each separate trilogy, and there was no hero's journey for Rey. She just sort of does what she wants, and yeah, that is called breaking the law of that universe. And a lot of Bond fans will feel that, spoilers, when Bond dies and sacrifices himself, that breaks the law of a Bond film. Now, for me, because this is not my Star Wars, I'm not that emotionally invested. I'm emotionally invested in this film because of the story of this particular Daniel Craig and his set of films, but that is just purely because I like the films, not because I'm a Bond fan. I don't think of Bond every time I think of a film. That is what I'm like with Star Wars. That's what I'm like with Marvel and DC and stuff like that. So yeah, because I'm not as closely emotionally attached to the character of Bond and his films in the past, I really thought this was a very bold and sort of, it was a very hard thing to pull off, which is clear in the fans' reactions. And I think they did it as well as they possibly could for fans to think about it and think, wow, this is actually really emotional, and I'm happy with this ending. Now, I'm not saying every fan will feel like this. They clearly already don't. Like, I've seen the reactions online. I love this. I love this ending so much because throughout this whole film, I feel like the hidden message of the film was that Bond feels like his life isn't worth living in times. They tease this with the 5-year jump where he's literally doing nothing and he's just sort of there, he's just existing. And we all know that Bond, he doesn't function like that. That's why he jumps back in at the quickest opportunity, because we know that that's what he's built to do and that's what he lives for. So when we find out that he's got a kid, and you see that expression on his face, because he knows that that's his kid, even when she tells him that it's not, he knows. So you just see a part of him come alive and feel like that is what that's what his purpose of life is. So when that's taken away from him at the end, which is such a heartbreaking scene when he realizes, you see what's coming, and you're just gobsmacked at the decision of, we're going to kill this Bond off. And I don't know, I thought that was really well done, and I just personally liked it. It's just a personal preference. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, overall, I think this film suffers heavily from just a bad villain in general. He's just there as a catalyst to move Bond along, and he's just there to be used as the generic villain, which is a shame for the last Daniel Craig Bond film. But everything else, the action, the cinematography, the performances, I thought the new 007 was great. I thought the girl that he partnered up with earlier on in the film was fantastic. I think she should have been used more. And yeah, I just think I really, really enjoyed this film. So I'm going to give No Time to Die an 8 out of 10. I thought this film was great. Just do wish it had a little bit of a better, not a little bit, a better villain in general. So yeah, that's my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.